fateful handshake. Oh, goodness. Ah! How come you squeeze me so tightly? The leprosy patient said, I wasn't squeezing tightly, I was just holding your hand. It was very painful. I thought you had weak muscles. How come you squeeze me so tightly? Suddenly dawned on me, something wrong with my conception of leprosy. Let me look at those hands again. Yes, they're deformed. Yes, they are kind of crooked. Yes, they sometimes are short of a finger or two. But wait, they're quite strong actually. Let me look at another set of fingers. Oh, same thing. It turns out that they're actually quite strong. It's just that they're deformed. It's just that some fingers are missing and twisted. And so he said, I think I can do something about this. I've come to some kind of conclusion. Let me think it through. But you know, many parts of the world also have leprosy. In fact, up in Pandaland, up in China, up in the mountains of China, there are like little leprosy colonies. And in the medical mission that I started in China, we had teams that went there to help out with leprosy patients. Because the people about them didn't like leprosy patients. They said, leprosy patients, we don't want to deal with them. So they had to hide in little villages where nobody came to visit them. It was really kind of sad. But the most sad thing really was the eyes. When Mrs. Brand, Dr. Margaret Brand, looked at these eyes, she knew there was something that she could do about it. There's something wrong. Why are these eyes so dull? Why are the eyes having infections? Why are the eyes having ulcers on the eyes? Why do they have cataracts? We all have bright eyes, right? Open your eyes wide. How often do you blink your eyes? A lot, right? Like how many times a minute? Or a second? It turns out that you blink your eyes every 5 seconds. So while I'm talking with you, you're blinking your eyes a lot actually, you just don't know it. But why do we blink our eyes? Yes. You have to keep them wet. So like a washer. It's like your windshield washer. It keeps washing your eyes. And some of these leprosy patients, they have problems with this windshield washer. It just doesn't wash so well. And so their eyes get very dry. And then they get infected. They get scars. And the treatment actually is kind of odd. It is actually to make the eyes kind of like half closed. And that's what Dr. Margaret Brand used to do. And one thing after another, they began to learn so many things about leprosy. They learned that we should not call them lepers. Because when you say they are lepers, it's like they're not human. They're lepers. We should just call them patients or people with leprosy. That's a much better term. Or, just to remind us, they're actually ill. They have a sickness. So that's why they're ill. They're not another kind of people. They're normal people, but with some kind of illness. And, most importantly, God loves them all. In fact, there are many myths of leprosy. Many times people think there are certain things about leprosy that are actually wrong. One is that it is highly contagious, that you can spread from one person to another. It turns out not. When I was a kid, I used to go to a leprosy colony to actually play on the beach. My father was a surgeon, and so we went on the beach to actually swim in this place that was a leprosy colony. And I visited the leprosy patients because I knew that they were not contagious. They're a little bit contagious. It's not like they're not contagious, just a little contagious. So it doesn't hurt to see them. And to live with you actually is okay. Second myth, now we know that the muscles are not weak. They thought the muscles were weak. But now, because of Dr. Brand and other investigators, we find that they're not weak. So they have strong muscles, and therefore, he could transplant some tendon from one of the muscles to the other muscle so that they can use the hands in a good way. Wow, that was very good. He's a surgeon. He's got his 10 fingers for God. So he wants to serve God by correcting other people's finger problems. And what is most interesting is he actually had a hand of a cadaver, of a dead body, which he put in his own refrigerator at home. So that at night, or sometimes, he could take out his hand from the cadaver and analyze the hands. see what nerves are there, some muscles are there, what the bones are like. He tried to figure out what the system was, why there is a problem. And he looked at the microscope many times, trying to figure out, is there something there that I could discover that could change the way that these patients are suffering? Isn't that remarkable? A missionary was working there day and night with these hands, and then at night he was watching with his microscope to see what was inside of them. And we know that all of God's creations are beautiful, right? There are all kinds of animals like the pandas and everything, and pandas have lots of things that are very remarkable, right? They tumble around and they use their fingers. How many fingers does that panda have? How many fingers does a panda have? 10, 5, and 10 all together. Wow, just like us, right? 10 fingers there. And how many fingers does a monkey or ape or orangutan have? It tends to be also 10 too, right? And Abu should have 10 fingers, but somehow the maker of Abu didn't include that. But Abu always shows up at every VBS. He's like a cameo person. He comes around. He's been around for, I don't know, 15 in VBS or something like that. My favorite. But all kinds of animals, no matter whether it's a panda, or a orangutan, or even a polar bear, all these animals, many of them actually have fingers, right? And these fingers are all created by God. It's right, remarkable. They all have different kinds of fingers. The fingers are there for a purpose. For example, the monkey goes up into the coconut tree, and what does he do? He wants to eat the coconut. He can't crack the coconuts. What do you think he does? He takes a banana. Good. But if he wants the coconuts, he actually throws them down from the top of the tree, and it cracks open, right? He can't get it open, so he therefore cracks them on the ground. That's right. They love bananas too. Exactly. But nothing compares with the human hand. 10 fingers that you have. We are not descended from apes. We're not descended from pandas. Pandas did not become humans. Apes did not become humans. God created us all different. But we all have 10 fingers. And our 10 fingers are remarkable 10 fingers. They're the most different 10 fingers, actually. How many fingers does this person have? Count them.
12.
12 is right. So some people have 12 fingers. What about? So unusual. Some people have 12. Next, some people have some part of their fingers missing actually. So they have less than 5 on each hand. And that's because, you know why? When they were born, before they were born, when they were in mommy's tummy, actually there's like a little thread that's in there, and it tangles around the finger, and it cuts up the blood supply, and so you have one less finger on one less finger index. So you'll be surprised, but you actually will find lots of people with 1 or 2 fingers missing because of that, and they're born with that. So fingers are all very important, and the number is important, but the most important finger is what finger? Of the 5 fingers, which is the most important finger? Yes, the thumb, the number 1 thumb. Number 1 for a reason, because it is the most important, because you want to grip something. Anything you hold needs to have a grip. So hold up your hands. Yeah, aren't they beautiful? God made them all beautiful. Every finger is beautiful. And that thumb, remember, is beautiful. Okay, you're the only person, you're the only one in the world, anyone compared with any apes or pandas or whatever, that can play the violin, or people who, Sam, you forgot, or who can write poetry, or actually pick up chopsticks. It turns out that monkeys cannot pick up chopsticks, but we can play beautiful piano. Those fingers that Sam is playing are jumping all over the place, right? And yet, he knows where they are, he knows where each finger is, and he can play that beautiful message there. And we can paint, we can do all kinds of things, we can do even little beads. You think that the bees are quite easy, right? Try getting a panda to do that. Just not easy, right? But God made you different, and you can do that. Even little scissors that you use when you're trying to cut things, you think it's very easy? Yes, it is very easy for you, but try getting a panda to do that. It's so different. Yeah. So God made you with those wonderful fingers. Okay, culture break. Pastor Bob wants some food. So I brought some food. At the end of today's message, if you come up to me and I ask you a question and you can answer, I'll give you something like that. However, unfortunately, because it has a nut inside that you could choke yourself on, I'm only going to give it to the older children, okay? So the younger ones, I'll just give you a hug. All right? And I have something special too. This is a tamarind that has already been put in sugar. So again, it's a special one, and come up to me afterwards. Again, older ones only, and younger ones, sorry, I'll have to just hug you. Okay? All right. Teach you a little bit of Hindi or Tamil. In India, they speak Hindi for the most part, but in the southern part, where Paul Brand was working, they spoke Tamil. So, when you meet someone, you do this. Namaste. Say it. Namaste. 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 You kind of bow with them a little bit, okay? Or, if you're in Tamil, you say Nalama. 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 How are you? And when you say thank you, you say Nandri. 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 If you thank you very much, you say Rambo Nandri. Rambo Nandri. That's good, huh? Okay? So, hello is, how are you is Namaste. Namaste. And in Tamil it is Nalama. Nalama. And thank you would be Nandri. Nandri in Tamil. And thank you very much is Rambo Nandri. Rambo Nandri. So at the end today, you can tell me Rambo Nandri or something like that. Okay? Now, we know that there are many diseases in the place that they were staying that were quite dangerous. Mosquitoes are one. We mentioned that mosquitoes can kill you. But there are other parasites that are inside the body too. They're like worms. And there are all kinds of poochies, they call them. Worms that are inside you. They live in you. Sometimes they live like hundreds inside you. Can you imagine? Cause you really tummy aches. And you want to feel like vomiting sometimes because all these worms are inside, and when they come to see a doctor, when they come to the clinic and they come to see the doctor, they complain of this kind of pain, that kind of pain, or sometimes they even vomit out a worm. And so, worms come outside this way or down that way. So 2 ways of coming out. It's like, And that's because many of the kids are playing around in the dirt, very dirty, outside in some of the places. And so, Paul would like to go around there and try to meet with the kids and play with the kids. And of course, kids are kids everywhere. In India, the kids are just as lively as you, just as friendly. And so I have great fun talking with the kids. But especially, he was concerned about those who came from families with leprosy. So you put them in a hostel, and you would watch them and teach them about the Bible and all these things. And one thing he would do would be every night, before they went to bed, they said, count your fingers and count your toes. Because every morning he wanted to check with them, how many fingers, how many toes do you have in the morning? Because sometimes people will come up to him and say, I lost 2 of my fingertips. Overnight, last night they were there, and this morning I only have 8 full fingers, and 2 of them are something missing. What? He said. And I'm sorry, his time is up. Aww.